welcome to the MMA Roadshow, episode number 119.
With an asterisk.
With an
like
asterisk.
A daylight. It's kind of like a 0.5-ish, but not 0.5-ish.
It's not quite and a half because we didn't even do a 119. So this is it. It is. It's got an asterisk to it. But I'm telling you what, Cold Coffee, I'm so thrown off. My name is John Morgan. Cold Coffee is the name in Las Vegas. You know all that good stuff. If you're listening right now, you know what's up. Listen, we had to do things a little bit different. International Fight Week has been absolutely insane. It's busy every time. It seems even crazier every single year, and this is no exception. And last night, when we normally sit down to do things on a Thirsty Thursday here at Boomers, where we are right now, I should say, in Las Vegas, it was just too crazy, man. The Hall of Fame ceremony was running too long. And we just didn't have time to really get it done. And we said, you know what, we're going to have to make an exception. And I thought it was a good call at the time because I was like, well, listen, I mean, anything we record right now is basically going to be outdated by the time people listen to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it seemed,
especially with the show happening later in the day, it's like people are going to want to talk about that or hear you at least remark about the event or whatever.
That's exactly it. So I thought, you know what, man, it's going to be outdated. So I thought it was the right call. Cold Coffee, I'll tell you what. It was definitely the right call because I'm telling you right now, if we had to sit here and wait another 24 hours to talk about Justin Gaethje versus Michael Johnson, the hell would I do?
Was it even a good fight?
Oh, man. The Ultimate Fighter 25 finale did go down today in Las Vegas at T-Mobile Arena. And we're a couple hours removed from that fight. We had to finish up our work, and now we get to sit down and talk about it. And I'm telling you what, I'm still jacked up on adrenaline, man. And I'm tired, bro. I finished working last night at like 3:30 in the morning. I had to be up at 7 o'clock this morning because, again, we've had so much to do. We had to go to the early weigh-ins. We had the ceremonial weigh-ins. And so I had about 3.5 hours of sleep. But on top of that, it was the worst sleep ever because I was having one of those like panic moments where I thought I was going to oversleep. So because of that, I was literally waking up like every 20 minutes.
Ugh.
You know, so I fell asleep at 3:30. I woke up at like 4:20.
So you never got into that deep sleep mode. You never hit the REM state or whatever it is.
Never
you hit the
did
dream
it.
state.
Never did it. Then we had the early weigh-ins. Then we had the ceremonial weigh-ins. The ceremonial weigh-ins and the doors opening for today's event were at the same time. That was crazy.
That was ridiculous.
It was insane trying to get everything done. And then, I'm not going to lie, the start of the card was kind of slow, man.
Yeah.
A lot of decisions. And not that, decisions are always bad fights, but it was just a lot of grinding type affairs. Yeah. And it started picking up, and we'll talk about a couple of the other ones real quick, but it's just unbelievable, man. This fight, I'm telling you right now, I honestly believe that's one of the best fights you'll ever see. I hear people saying it's the best fight of the year so far, and that's great, man. That's high praise in itself. I think that's one of the best goddamn fights you'll ever see, period. And we'll talk about Justin Gaethje, but I want to make sure that we make it clear. It took two. Michael Johnson deserves all the credit in the world. Yeah. These two dudes went at it, left everything in the cage. And, a couple hours later, I'm still buzzing, man.
Yeah, I think that's it. It definitely takes two to tango, and I think that's the reason why anytime you have a fight where it literally looks like it could end for either fighter at any moment, and it happened a couple of times in each round. It's funny, somebody marked in the back that, it looked like, Johnson had a 10-8 going into it, at some point in the round, and then by the end of the round, it's like, well, that was totally negated by what Gaethje did. I think anytime you have something like that, it just ramps it up because, at that point, usually by the end of the main event, I try to make sure all my work's sort of done, so I can kind of watch. My work wasn't done, but at that point, you just got to stop, and it was one of those fights where it commanded your complete attention, because it was just so exciting. You could hear the gasps from the different rooms. The media rooms are separated in T-Mobile. It's not the most ideal press room. I know. I'm sure we've talked about it before.
$1 billion property with the worst press rooms
worst press
ever.
setup, at least currently as is. And so there's the media is in a sort of a section by itself, but there's two separate rooms that are divided by a hallway. But you could hear different media members sort of just kind of getting into the fight as it's happening and gasping and just kind of like oohing and ahhing as it's happening. But anytime you have a fight like that, I think it just makes it unbelievable because if it was a one-sided ass-whooping, it wouldn't be in the running for, like, best fight of the year. You got to have the ups and the downs and all that, and it certainly had the ups and the downs, that's for sure. And completely exciting. And now I'm kind of bummed because, I didn't see all the crazy celebration mishaps and stuff that Gaethje was doing, falling off things and almost smashing his head or whatever.
I want to know, is that because I wonder, because I don't know, I haven't seen it on TV. Because was it just because you looked away because you were talking, or is it maybe they didn't show it?
It showed. I remember seeing. I think it's because at that point, I was getting my gear because people were already lining up to go.
So hopefully people at home got to see that.
I'm sure they did.
Because he almost knocked himself out. Oh no, he almost knocked himself out on the first attempt.
Yeah, that I must have missed it because if he did that before he did the backflip.
Yeah, he tried to crawl up, and the first attempt, and I hope I got it right. Because he did two. The one that he nailed was the third. I want to say the first one, he crawled up, got to the top, and then slipped and came down and hit his face on the cage.
Oh wow!
On the top of the cage. You're oh shit! I honestly for a second thought he was gonna he might have knocked himself out. It was that
maybe
serious.
I missed it. I just remember for the most part seeing where he got on the top and then was able to execute it.
And then the second one, he tried to crawl up, and it just it was he had no energy. He only got halfway up the fence. So it was great. But okay, so let's talk about going into this fight, because to me, all week long, I mean, it's a dual event week. To me, though, everybody we've been talking to, both fans, media, they've been looking forward to two fights more than anything. One, Yoel Romero versus Robert Whittaker, which we still get to have tomorrow night, and it was this fight, Justin Gaethje versus Michael Johnson. I think everybody was pumped up about this fight.
I mean, no disrespect to the Nunes Shevchenko. I think it's got quite a bit of people excited about that. But you're right. When people were looking at this, people were very, very interested.
1A and 1B, right?
Yeah, especially just for the fact that people are going to see how Gaethje matched up against UFC competition. I think that was the biggest thing that people really wanted to see. I think people knew that the dude was super talented and super tough. There was no discounting that at any means, but to see what he did and to take what he did, I mean, I think it was really great to see Johnson come in because Johnson was rocking. I was like, holy cow, Johnson was
in those first couple seconds, the hand speed that Michael Johnson has is insane.
Yeah, and then the Gaethje effect happens where it's just he literally will wear you down and then he just punishes you. Johnson by the end, I mean, I didn't see what happened, but people were at one point were remarking, and maybe they said something, maybe you can elaborate. People were like, oh, he broke his foot. Or did he break his foot off of kicking or something? But I didn't hear anything on the broadcast, but at the same time, I didn't see. But it looked like Johnson, he was hobbled at the end, but it looked like his legs at that point or his ankle or foot or something was given out as well.
I mean, Gaethje's leg kicks are just nasty. I mean, obviously he's won fights with leg kicks. I mean, his leg kicks, and he's just relentless with them, And you're right, it was great, man. The way that he did exactly. I mean, we've tried to. Hopefully, people have listened to our advice. Over time, we said make sure you're watching Justin Gaethje. Make sure you're watching. I know, again, anybody listening to this thing is probably either related to us or a hardcore MMA fan. You know what I mean?
And I'm sure they know who Gaethje is.
So I would hope that anybody here, would know who Justin Gaethje is, so you knew what to expect coming in. But it was. You were right. I picked him in my picks this week. Because I do feel like he's special, man. I do feel like he's got the whole package, but there's still always that question mark. I mean, until you get in and do it, there's always the question mark. And I
mean, if they weren't convinced after the cold coffee conversation with him, they certainly were convinced now.
I mean, God, I could just sit here and relive the whole thing. I mean, just over and over. And Gaethje's hilarious. He's like, I don't know. Big John was telling me he was going to stop the fight. He's like, I was in it the whole time. I'm like, bro, you were definitely wobbled on a couple of occasions.
He was rocked, and Johnson had that string of uppercuts after he wobbled him, where he had him against the fence and was dropping. I thought that was it. I was like, man, Johnson smells blood. He goes in and he's going in, but it's just like Gaethje just stayed up, man. There's something about that, dude. He's like I play a game on my phone, and it has these Goliaths in it who just take punishment, and it's like at some point in the fight, Gaethje switches into this superhuman mode where he needs enough punishment to put him into that mode, and then he's just like, oh, you fucked up. You fucked up. You done woke up the beast.
He needs some damage just to get started.
He needs damage to get into this mode, and when he gets into that mode, if he doesn't wear you down, he's going to drop you with these shots, because immediately after he was rocked and got back into it, I think Johnson as well. He rocked Johnson, but then Johnson just wore himself out.
Yep.
You know, he got very, very tired, and I think that's what Gaethje does to people. You know, after he takes punishment and you're taking so much punishment, which will tire you out regardless, then to just have somebody that just seems to get stronger as the fight goes on, as you've been putting everything you can to crush this dude, he weathers it and then just gets stronger from it. I mean, unbelievable.
Well,
unbelievable.
So, and it kind of goes into this because in listening to him talk, I feel like there's this transformation going on with Justin Gaethje, right? Because we've had a chance to talk to Justin at World Series of events and that sort of thing, and he's not the most eloquent guy ever. You know what I mean? But I thought tonight at the post-fight press conference, I thought he was very direct in what he was saying. I thought he was very focused. I feel like sometimes when you talk to him, he's kind of things going in a million different directions. I thought he was very focused in talking about what his plan is and what he hopes to do. He's like, I want the interim title. Then I want – the other thing is a little bit – now, obviously, the accent, the cadence, everything like that is a ton different. But some of the things he said almost reminded me of Conor McGregor in the way he was saying things, where he was just like, listen, man, I started doing this when I was 4 years old. I worked this. I've never I work harder than anybody else. I've never taken a year off from wrestling. I've done everything. And he's like – I stay in your face. You can't put up with my pressure. When I get in there, I break you. Your heart rate is going through. I was like, man, this was the whole package from Gaethje. He stood up back in March in Dallas at that press conference. I mean, your UFC debut, and you're on a huge stage with all those people, and you hold your own, no question about it. Then you do all the media. Then you come in, you perform like that. Then you set up at the post-fight press conference, and you do everything you're supposed to do. I cannot praise Justin Gaethje enough.
Yeah.
I just start to finish.
He's certainly coming into his own. That's for sure. And I love when I was listening to his remarks tonight. His respect to his mother and his family and that good strong base that he has, which kind of reminded me a lot about Conor as well. The faith to his family and those that have been supporting him. And I mean, he said all the right things that made you want to back him up. To kind of want his journey to keep continuing on. And there were some, I don't know if it was family or girlfriends or whatever that happened to be sitting in front before, so it was kind of fun as he was talking to kind of glance over at the family or friends. I'm not sure who it was, but I know that they were there with him. But to see the reactions as he was talking about his friends and family and stuff, and see pride that was showing in their faces, and that's the stuff that gives me chills when I see stuff like that. Because then, you feel like a guy is. I just felt like I was watching him. Like this whole week, and just especially tonight, just coming into his own. But I mean, the dude's a champ. I mean, he was a champ in the World Series of fighting. And say what you want about that organization. Some people out there might not think it was the most legit organization. It had legit fighters.
Yes, it
and
did.
To be a champion of that organization says something. And to see him just feel like he's putting it all in place and that he's firing on all cylinders. I mean, the dude. I mean, he's if he's not already, he's destined to be a big star in the UFC.
It's one of the greatest UFC debuts ever. There's no question about it, man. And you're right. I felt like we were watching a transformation, like his arrival to the scene, like from start to finish, And it was funny too because I'll tell you this: the crowd inside the arena. Now, this was not a well-sold event. We'll say that there was not a huge crowd there. And, I think there were some ticket giveaways going on and that sort of thing. But so it wasn't a huge crowd. But the crowd that was there was, like, really backing Justin. There was a lot of, like, Gaethje chants from the very beginning. And I'm like, this is an educated crowd. Like, here's a guy coming in. And then in the post-fight press conference, he said, well, I sold somewhere between 600 and 800 tickets. I was
but even at the press, I'm sorry, at the ceremonial weigh-ins, he got a big pop there. But I think Johnson kind of put some people off. His delivery of his speech wasn't really that great, but I think he came out. Somebody said something. He flipped off the crowd. I think they were kind of galvanized.
Yeah, before he even got on the stage at the ceremony, he just flipped off the crowd.
Well, it was like I think right when he was getting off the scale, he flipped somebody. He might have did it when he was getting on as well, but he got heckled or I think was getting something from even maybe at another thing or something. So the crowd was strong against him, and some guys, I think, can take it and just take it on the shoulder and brush it off, and it doesn't affect them. They don't feed into it. They don't give the crowd something to keep doing it.
Right.
And I think once you interact in that way, flipping them off, doing something, you just fueled the fire. Then it's done for, you know. And so I can imagine that a lot of people that saw that yesterday were just like, I'm already voting for the other guy. You know, I think it's the guys that come in that are just workhorses, that are champs, that are humble. You know, they say the right things, they act the right way, they don't lose their cool. You know, people are going to gravitate towards that. And Justin's held his shit together all this week, and he's done all the right things. He said the right things. I think one of the best things he said that I just thought was just incredible, you know, is that, you know, if I get knocked out, I get knocked out. So be it. You know, that's what happens, you know, but I'm going to go out and I'm going to fight my fight. You know, he's not out there just talking junk like these guys can't fucking touch me. You know, they're never going to do whatever. I'm going to be the best. I mean, he's saying that, yeah, he feels he's one of the best guys he can do it, but he's like, but if I go out there and I make my debut and I get knocked out, so be it. You know, and I mean, I think a lot of people
resonate with that. And I feel like he really believes that. It's not.
He did.
It's not just a joke. Like some people say. I mean, that thing where he says, "Listen, you know, I don't have a fear in losing. Like I have a fear in not performing and not entertaining." Right. He's like, "I'm entertainment." And when he says, "I'm a promoter's wet dream," I mean, he is. The dude is. I mean, I can just sit here and rave. I'm telling you, it's one of the few times where I've ever been at cage side, and I've seen literally thousands of fights. Yeah. And it's one of the few times where, like, I was just so amped up, you know what I mean? Like, it was unbelievable.
Crazy. I mean, we could literally talk about this fight for like an hour, but I should preface the fact that we've been put on a timeline here. So we wanted to make this kind of short anyways because we're going to talk to you guys tomorrow night anyways. But we're at Boomers. Our establishment for this evening. That's where we end up wrapping up the events and stuff. But we got started late. But we also got told, hey, y'all got about 30 minutes before I boot you out. So we're going to keep this short. So we'll roll on to other stuff. But just wanted, you know, like I said, we could talk about this fight.
I do want to say
hours and hours.
Michael Johnson. I felt bad. Not that I've ever seen somebody leave the octagon, you know, after a loss and just be like, hey, I'm so happy. It was great. But, I mean, you could see the devastation in his face and the disappointment in his face. And, man, I wish I could just be like, bro, keep your head high. Like, you lost no stock to me whatsoever. And I think to any fan. The skills were there. You could see it. The heart was there. You could see it. I mean, I did run into Henry Hoof backstage, and we were crossing paths, and I was, you know, being escorted to the press area, which is in a fucking tent outside of the $1 billion building. But we kind of it was like one of those eye contact things where you could tell Henry knows, yeah, we came up short, but that was awesome. You know what I mean? And I know Michael can't possibly feel that way, but I hope he will feel that way. I hope he'll come to feel that way.
He'll come to feel that way, but you're right. I mean, he left it all. I think, if anything else, you know, he put himself really on the line with some of the stuff he was saying, and I believe he believed everything that he was saying. You know, so when he was taking some of those punches, he willed himself to be in that fight a heck of a lot longer, just like I think Justin did the same thing.
Yep.
When they were rocked on his feet, you know, they willed themselves back to consciousness and back to the point of still being devastating in the damage that they were doing. But again, it's easiest for us to say, dude, keep your head up. You did a great job, because I did. But I mean, when they work so hard, I can understand where he could be devastated for the fact that, you know, he really left it all out there and said what he was going to do and then came up short. You know, I think towards the end, some of the leg kicks and things, like you said, were doing damage to where his body wasn't doing what he wanted it to do, and that's got to be so frustrating for these high-level athletes that are so capable of doing magnificent stuff that we can never do, that they're able to do it easy, that when their body finally takes the damage that they can't do it, it's got to be so frustrating and just feel so bad at the end of the night.
Last thing I'll say on Justin Gaethje, I hope that the UFC doesn't shy away from giving him big-name opponents next. I mean, I know, you know, he said, listen, give me the interim title, give me Tony Ferguson, and then after that, give me Conor McGregor. And I know that may sound crazy, especially with Khabib Nurmagomedov out there, you know, especially with some other guys you have in the mix. But I'm telling you, I hope they fast-track Justin Gaethje because and it sounds rough to say this, but, like, that dude will not be fighting forever. Like, you cannot continue to put on shows like that for a long time. You will not have a long career. And he's had to answer those questions. Hell, we've asked him the same question at multiple times, and he's used to answering it. It's not like it's any stranger to him, but because of that, I hope the UFC does not shy away from booking him in the biggest fights possible because, you know, that dude is going to put on a show, whether it be against a Nate Diaz, like was brought up in the press conference. Yeah, that's a big name. It may not make sense ranking-wise, but it would be a big name. whether it be a Tony Ferguson. I mean, I feel bad for Khabib Nurmagomedov, but sign me up for Gaethje Tony Ferguson all day long.
About Gage is Gage would take any one of those people. He is not going to shy away about any one of those. And I think after coming, especially being a champ, I think any of those guys, if they know, excuse me, that they're not going to get Conor anytime soon. Granted, I think a lot of them probably want to hold off and do whatever. But I mean, I think they recognize, just like he said, real recognizes real. And if a guy's at the top really wants to claim to be the guy on the top, I don't think anybody's going to try to shy away. I mean, with his performance and then his pedigree of already coming in, the dude's 18-0 now, with most of those being finishes or stoppages of some sort, if not all of them. The dude deserves to be in that same area. So I'd love to see him fight Tony. I'd love to see him fight Khabib. I'd love to see him fight Conor. I mean, dude, I'm high on it right now. I mean, I think just the way he's carried himself through the whole fight week, the way he's just kind of propelled forward. I mean, not that he was any slouch with World Series of Fighting, but now, yeah, he's firing on all cylinders at a whole different level. And I'm with you. I hope they give him tough cookies. And at this point, I mean, to start him off with, Michael Johnson right from the get-go, the number 5 guy.
That shows you what they believe in.
Yeah, I mean, does that make him number 4 all of a sudden? And then there's not many people above that,
Be crazy.
So who knows?
I love it, man. I guess, again, this is, as you said, kind of an abridged version of the Roadshow because we're going to come back and do it again tomorrow. So we can't give you hours to listen to. But I guess what I want, hopefully, to convey is that if anybody was watching this at home, maybe they were chilling by themselves, maybe they're chilling with some friends, and everybody's looking at each other like, was that shit as special as I thought it was? Yes.
Yeah.
Take it from me, who has been cage side for thousands of fights.
Yeah.
That one will live in my memory forever. That was
a good one.
Insane. Really quick, I want to say Jesse Taylor picked up a win over Diego Lima to pick up the Ultimate Fighter crown.
Congrats, Jesse.
Dude.
You got the redemption.
For the show to be called redemption, there's no better one. I mean, I know everybody's looking for some kind of redemption, but that dude needed redemption, and he got it. And, dude, I thought the emotion, I mean, the guy is he's funny. I mean, he'll even say, he's like, I'm just kind of a simple guy, you know what I mean? And to see him, I mean, basically breaking down into tears, and he was in the cage afterwards, and I don't know if the camera had cut away, but he was just, like, looking at his team, like, and he was mouthing, we did it, we did it, we did. I mean, it was so cool. And to have that big-ass check for $290,000, man, nothing wrong with that. I thought Jesse Taylor looked amazing in the first round, and then how about that? Comes out and gets dropped in the second round. Looks like he's going to be submitted. Sneaks out of that, and was hilarious in the post-fight press conference. Just said, well, I used the strategy of getting hit in the head, and I used that to my advantage. And I don't know, man. I just, not that I mean, hell, I don't even know Jesse Taylor. I mean, I've covered him for years. I don't know anything about him, but when you see a guy that had a dream, you know what I mean, and was this close away from his dream and screwed himself out of it. Screwed himself. Nobody else to blame but himself.
Yeah, I think that was the thing. I think most people, if you didn't really know a story or if that's the only thing that you ever saw, you're like, oh, I guarantee everybody's like, what a dumbass.
Yes.
I can't believe you just blew that shot.
And then to spend this many years
working to get back there.
Oh, my God.
And then doing what he did. It just makes you wonder where he would be right now if that never happened. But I think he addressed it even, too, in a little bit the presser. I mean, like, I think most people think that, even I a lot of times, everything in life happens for a reason. You might fuck up, and you get knocked down. But if you're strong and if you have a good will, you'll build yourself back up. And if anything else, you're going to maybe learn something about yourself and maybe learn something else that you weren't even planning on, that if everything worked out, you would never get a chance to do it. And I think he embraced that and was able to work through the differences, and whatever issues that maybe caused him to maybe act out in the first place. He's much more focused now. I mean, he's driven as all get out, and he was rewarded by the thing that he maybe could have had years ago, but would he maybe have appreciated it like he's going to appreciate it now? Probably not.
I love, too, that Dana gets in there and is like, congratulations, you are finally the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? Like, that is so awesome. I mean, even Dana gets, I don't know. To me, it was just not that Diego Lima isn't a deserving competitor and wouldn't have liked to see him win.
I'm surprised how
Diego's tough, man.
Yeah, he's really,
and
really tough.
He battled through, man. He was getting manhandled in that first.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure was.
Jesse Taylor didn't even mess around. But, man, I don't know. To me, it was a feel-good story. I mean, I know that some people may think that, like you said, Jesse Taylor's an idiot or whatever. If all you knew about him was that.
Like, if you saw a clip from that years ago, I think people would just be like, "Oh my God, you had the biggest shot." But I mean, he fucking did it.
Grinded for almost 10 damn years to get back here and did it.
It's crazy.
How can you not feel good for the guy?
Yeah, you gotta love it. I mean,
and
he was very respectful in his post-fight presser, like you said, and he was funny. But no, I mean, you gotta admire somebody that battles back.
I will say this: when he was asked what he's going to do with the $250,000 or $290,000, and he said he was going to give it to his girlfriend to help him out. No.
Well, he didn't say.
Don't give it to your girlfriend.
Well, he didn't say to help. He said to make sure he didn't do anything stupid with it. Pretty much.
Isn't giving it to someone? Give it to your girlfriend stupid?
Well, I mean, it depends. He didn't say like give it to her so she could, spend it. I think it was more like, here, take this away from me so I can't use it.
And I can respect that.
I mean, but he said,
but
first
JT money about to be JT no money if he's like.
You're right. But I liked how he was like, I'm gonna take 50 off the top. I'm gonna set up a college fund for my girls or whatever. But he did have that almost splurge item where I was like, dude, and he was like, maybe I'll get that RV I was always looking for. I'm like, dude, I can get with that. Who doesn't want to have like an RV and like be able to just go travel, go fishing?
My wife and I have talked about it.
Dude, like RVs, dude, that's legit.
If we had
They're
money,
not cheap though. That would easily take half that $250.
Oh, dude,
right
you
there.
could, dude,
or take all
or the whole thing.
Yeah, depending on what he's trying to get.
Listen, I'm the least outdoorsy person, but my wife has talked about that before. Like, wouldn't that be cool if we had like a big RV and then like all the fights in the United States, instead of me flying, just my family could drive to them. We could see America. We could be together during fight week.
I could be executive platinum all the time, and you would be like no platinum.
Well, you'll be the one gaining air miles this week. I guess maybe we could tease a little bit, right? You're going to be on the.
We got a few minutes left.
You're gonna be on the Mayweather-McGregor tour.
Yeah, a few of the events. I won't be doing the big one over the seas or whatever, but no, it should be interesting because I've always talked about it before. Boxing events are fucking madness, and this one is going to be no less. Just for the fact of the people that are involved in it, should be crazy. But yeah, I'm excited to be able to try to cover that and get the footage and stuff to bring it back so we can bring it to all the junkies. And
so the way it stands, it looks like MMA Junkie will be at every single stop of the Mayweather-McGregor tour. And when I say MMA Junkie, I basically mean Cold Coffee. He's going to be handling business on the 3 North American stops. And then our man, Abby Subban, will be holding it down in London as well. So, yeah, listen, I hate to keep it a bridge, but you know what? Here's what's going to happen. We're going to get this posted. People are going to wake up. They're going to hear about it. Then it's going to be time for some fights already again.
Yeah.
And we're going to get together tomorrow. We can even recap a little bit more. We can talk some Jakar Close. We can talk some Jared Cannonier. We can talk all that along with what happens at 213.
This is a foreplay edition. Girl, are you ready? Well, it was funny you were saying earlier because I was thinking about we should call it like a foreplay edition when you were like saying like if you're at home watching it alone. I was like, what you watching? What you watch? I'm gonna watch the fights in my undies. Oh, girl.
Oh, girl.
Yeah, so thank you for listening to our short abridged foreplay version. Tomorrow will be a much more longer, better sex version.
Boy, if I had 30 minutes of foreplay, man, my wife would be thrilled.
It's at the beginning of the relationship where you used to have foreplay was like, oh, all the fucking time. It's like, now, come on, baby. Let's just let me put it in. Just
30 minutes now. I just be like, are you serious? Fuck out of here. All right, well, listen, we wanted to do more, but we got stuck working late. This International Fight Week sucks.
Not as fun as it used to be.
I love it. I hate to say it sucks because it's awesome.
It doesn't suck. It's just, it is
fan,
nonstop work. I mean, today, all right, so think about it. It is 1:30 in the morning, and I woke up at 6:30-ish.
I woke up at 7.
To go to the weigh-ins, which we got there about 7:50, a little bit before 8 o'clock in the morning. So here it is, 1:30 in the morning. I'm not a mathematician, but that's 12.
You went to the Jesse Taylor
15,
School of Math?
15 or 16 hours. I don't have enough toes and fingers on this hand right here. But yeah, I mean, it makes for long days, and I mean, we're tired, and just for the fact that, I mean, really, if we bust our load tonight just to keep the foreplay version.
Wow.
If we drop it all tonight, I mean, we got all tomorrow. I figure tomorrow we have more time. We'll be able to sleep the day after it. We can go a lot longer. We can elaborate about it,
We can go 2 times.
Yeah, tomorrow's the Viagra version of the podcast.
Things are going bad down there. Yeah, listen, but we wanted to get together at least a little bit. We couldn't do Thursday night, and we barely got to do tonight. So, but we definitely want to deliver something, especially because I know if I was a fan sitting at home, I just gotta talk about this goddamn fight. Hell, I just want to talk about it. There's no way I could sleep tonight if I hadn't got to talk about this fight a little bit. This fight was amazing.
It was really good. There were some. I never want to say there were some stinkers because they're doing. All the fighters are willing to do great things that we couldn't do. And just to recap, I guess, we put all the interviews, all the post-fight interviews, all the winners on Junkie. So if you want to hear from Jessica I, who was very let down about not being able to fight and her thoughts on the fight, and even though it was sort of reported that Ladd was sick, she believes that it was just all attributed to a bad weight cut. She went on quite a bit. She was very let down. She was, very adamant about how she turned things around, and she realized that her job and things were on the line, and that's why she was so upset. She did get her show money. She didn't push for her win money because she feels that at this point that she should just be sort of grateful with what she gets.
She's had a lot of losses.
She's had a lot of losses and stuff like that. So go check that stuff out. There's a lot of interviews and other stuff that we probably could elaborate, but use this foreplay edition to just tease yourself a little bit. Go back, watch all the full interviews that we put.
Can you do episode number 119 and a half before 119? Like, could tomorrow be 119, or is this? Because this is like a half.
It's like a half.
Or like a half.
Would this be a point? I don't know. I don't know math.
We'll ask Jesse Taylor, who said 38 and 15 is 50-something. Gotta love it.
I would say, yeah, because this couldn't be a. Did we do a half of last week?
No.
Could this be a .75
no,
and a 7.5
because
and a 3/4?
Because we went for like 2 hours. Man, that was like the longest episode ever because we had the Dana White interview, and I felt bad. We ran long. Yeah. That's why we're running short, because I felt so bad for taking too much of your time last week.
Yeah, this is just the new start of foreplay edition.
Jared Cannonier looked like a badass tonight.
Yes, he did.
I mean, granted, he was
he's
fighting
in a good
somebody
spot too. He's
he was
very
fighting
adamant
somebody
about
on short
going
notice.
He's very adamant going down to middleweight.
He keeps saying that,
but he's really saying it. Like he thinks he's got a couple fights, and he said more about it in his thing. And when asked about it, I was like, have you had these talks with the UFC? Do you think they're going to be cool with it? And he's like, what are they going to do about it? They can't make me fight at light heavyweight. Like, I'm signed to fight, even though they've kind of pushed guys into fighting certain things. They sign you as a light heavyweight. They're not signing you as a, hey, you want to fight at featherweight? Make it to featherweight, but he's under the impression that, and he is, like he said, he's an independent contractor. He could do what he wants, in a sense. But he's very adamant about middleweight. He said he, walks around, I think, or gets down to like 212 easy enough, or was that like, I forget what he weighed in, but I want to say he said something about 212 this week, or he's done it before, which is not far. So if he can get himself walking around at 212, that drop to 185 is not going to be so bad. But
it was fun.
He looked good, though.
He looked good tonight, and I'll tell you what, man, he was being a showman, and I think that's important. And I think some people didn't like it. You go back to the weigh-ins, he had some sunglasses on. He was showboating a little bit in there, and he got a couple of boos while he was showboating a little bit. I mean, listen, he was fighting a guy that came in on late notice, was making his UFC debut, was tough as nails, no doubt about it. But he was getting some boos, and I think like people just kind of get opposed to that swagger sometimes or whatever. I fucking love it. Be a showman, dude. I think you showboat a little bit, man. You got to showboat a little bit.
Maybe it's the crowd. Maybe the particular crowd that came out. Maybe it's like, the people that love a Gagey story. If there was a big crowd, those are the same people that kind of got put off by Johnson, who was showboating all week long. So you never know. I mean, because there's a lot of times you go to the crowd, maybe the crowd eats that shit up.
Yep.
So who knows? Maybe it was just a weird crowd tonight or whatever. But I don't know. I think that just speaks a lot to a lot of the fans. I think a lot of the fans want to be supportive of the guy that just doesn't showboat, that just goes out there and just.
But that's not the guy that stands out. Did Conor McGregor become Conor McGregor because he was like, well, I'm just bringing my lunch pail to work and I'm punching in, I'm punching out, and doing what the UFC tells me?
Well, that's true, but I think maybe this card was more of the diehards.
Right.
And it's when the cards that need the people that show off and all that stuff, that's when it's bringing in the new crowd or the people that just want to come. They're paying attention to the spectacle. Today's fight was a diehard crowd.
Definitely.
Like, they're in it for the long haul. They don't need somebody to go out there and talk a lot of junk. I mean, they appreciate it when it does. I mean, who didn't want to see the
Jakar Close and
DeCasey or whatever.
Mark DeCasey.
Like, people were into that.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
the fighters. You know, we heard I didn't put it in the interview, but maybe we'll put it out later on because when we were getting ready to do Tavares' interview, the fight was still going on, and he elaborated more about the shit talking that those guys had and the security that had to be present for those guys, because when they were in line, they were jawing again. And even at some point, DeCasey made a point to sit next to him and was like, I'm going to knock your head off or something like that. And they weren't getting the point, but a lot of people are like, oh shit, it's about to pop off. But it didn't. But they were just saying all week long, and for it was just been a powder keg ready to explode, you know. And so I think that's why we end up seeing what we saw at the end of the fight, where even after the fight, you have the winner kind of coming after the loser.
There was no hugging it out. There was no hugging it out.
There was a lot of anger still going on there.
Jakar Close, it's funny because an MMA lab guy, John Crouch, one of my favorite guys in the world, we actually filmed Jakar Close as a prospect series, I think before you were even part of the team, man. I think he was 2-0 at the time. So to see his maturity is awesome, you know. And then Mark DeCasey, even though he lost tonight, that guy still got something.
Yeah,
dude.
he's a stud, man. I like the dude.
I don't want to be like, you know, Jakar doesn't matter. No, I mean, it's been amazing to watch him, but I do think you don't write off Mark DeCasey. I mean, I think that dude,
I like him.
You can see it not only personality-wise, not only marketability-wise, but athletically, you can see he's got something.
Oh, he's got marketability. He's got spark to him. I mean, that's the kind of guy that, just like we said, there's a lot of guys that people want to see, that guy that talks junk or just has a big personality. He's a huge personality from his head down to his toes. I mean, he's top notch.
He's great. All right, well, listen, we have overstayed our welcome.
Foreplay is gone.
Foreplay is
done.
It's wilted.
Anyway,
hopefully, we just want to put a little something out because you know what, people are gonna be chilling on a Saturday morning, looking at
something. You said it well,
just a little something. That's how I pitch it to my wife.
Oh, it's left as a tip.
You know, you might want to talk a little bit about some Saturday morning. We'll be right back to do it all again, and then tomorrow night we'll bring the full and a half. We'll break it all out.
The Viagra version.
I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Let me just say, I'm ready to go home. I haven't been home all week. I've been staying at the Monte Carlo, which has been a blessing. But, yeah, anyway, long story short, let me just say, thanks for listening.